That's right. So this webinar will be recorded for our marketing and archival purposes. We'll also be uploading this webinar onto our SGTech YouTube channel as well. For this webinar, we'll be conducting a Q&A section as well at the end. So if you have any questions about India or the consortium, please post the questions onto the Q&A chat box and we will address your questions. Please be reminded to also state your company name so that we can capture your details and answer directly to your question. So this is our agenda for today. First up, we will have Ms. Audrey Tan, Global Markets Director from Enterprise Singapore, to give an opening. After, we'll have Mr. Shih from our SGTech, who is the chairman of our Smart Nation chapter, to give an introduction. And we'll have Mr. Kennie, he's the regional director based in Mumbai from Enterprise Singapore. And we will have Mr. Dinesh Tiwari, Director of Business Development and Sustainability for the PACT project, the SG IOT Consortium. And lastly, we have two more agendas. So Mr. Alex Chow, HVS Engineering CEO and co-founder, will be sharing on his experience of being in the consortium and how it has assisted his company thus far. And lastly, we will have Ms. Boey Shan from Enterprise Singapore, who will be sharing about the PACT program and how it can benefit Singapore companies. So just a gentle reminder again, for any questions, you may turn to the Q&A box to post your queries. All right. Okay, so let's welcome Ms. Audrey Tan to give us the opening address, please.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well? Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Yingyan. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Lau, Chairman of SGTech, Smart Nation chapter of SGTech, for the strong partnership in doing today's event together. Really want to share a little bit about Enterprise Singapore's own journey with respect to India's smart city policy thrust and mission. Really, Enterprise Singapore, through our 3 offices in India, namely in Mumbai, Delhi, as well as in Chennai, have been actively working on a smart city mission since PM Modi launched this initiative in 2015. It's been some years, to say the least. And I think we have found it a very interesting journey ourselves. We have found essentially tried different ways of introducing companies, tried different ways of introducing our solutions, such that it makes such that Singapore companies can capture opportunities. And I'm glad that today we have this opportunity to share some of the insights of the market, of our experience with you, and more importantly, the experiences of some of our Singapore companies who have been there, done that, such that they can share their own experiences as well. So beyond the actual government policy by PM Modi, what is even more heartening is the fact that the Indian private sector has also responded to the government's call and have embarked on developing private smart townships spanning across different asset classes, from residential, commercial, industrial parks, incorporating a range of technologies and solutions to optimize user experience and, of course, operational efficiencies. And India, along with the rest of the world, pivots towards being operating optimally in post-COVID-19, or even, as operating alongside the virus. More technological interventions will continue to be in demand as companies pay attention to sustainability as well as business community. So really, we see that the opportunities remain compelling in the market, and we want to encourage more participation by Singapore companies. And we're very happy to have this partnership with SGTech to share a lot more broadly with its membership. So in 2019, Enterprise Singapore actually supported Excel Point to be the lead and formed the first SG IOT Consortium made up of 7 Singapore companies. I think this gave us an opportunity to present Singapore solutions in a more holistic manner. Collectively, the consortium hired a BD manager based out of Mumbai office to then source and surface leads to create business opportunities across India. Despite the challenging economic backdrop due to the virus, the members itself are still able to be connected to project owners, system integrators, negotiate projects, as well as secure pilots. And we're very heartened by the progress that they have made, which is again why we thought that this would be a good platform for us to share further. So really right now we are looking at how then can we take this forward? And we're working with Excel Point to refresh and expand the membership of the consortium to offer solutions and technologies which are relevant and responding to new opportunities as we see them emerge in the market. So really in the upcoming presentations, we'll be sharing where the demand drivers are for the smart cities in India. As you can imagine, since 2015, the market has changed, the needs have evolved. Previous trends that did not previously exist now do. So this is an opportunity to refresh our market perspective, and really where we see the new pockets of opportunities for Singapore companies moving forward, particularly also in areas such as healthcare as well as education. So really, we'll be looking at the new existing Singapore IoT Consortium, and more importantly, how do we expand into new verticals to respond to the market needs? So before I conclude, I would like to thank again SGTech for organizing the event today, and to Mr. Lau, all right, for his strong partnership. And as well as, of course, all the members here today for your interest in the market. I know it's not an easy one. It's not intuitive for most of us, but thank you for remaining open to the opportunities, and my team and I look forward to working with you to take the conversations and interests further. Thank you, Yin.
Thank you, Audrey. Next up, we would like to invite Mr. Lau Shih to give an introduction of SGTech and also share a little bit about our Smart Nation chapter.
Sure. Thanks, Audrey, for a very good, very warm introduction for all of us here. Especially we're talking about how to collaborate together. I think that's definitely the important differentiator I see, especially for Singapore companies, where we go together, as a consortium, as a hunt together, hunt as a pack, and especially this is really what SGTech is all about. So if you let me just bring to the next screen. Yeah, so SGTech is a premier trade association. Some of you, of course, most of you know already. We have over 900 members from companies of all sizes. We're all tech companies. In fact, we have expanded our the scope to become even any company that's tech at core. So you don't have to be a vendor of a technology. You can also be part of this entire ecosystem. And specifically for Smart Nation chapters, there are 6 chapters in the entire SGTech, plus a growing list of committees that look into new upcoming areas. So the particular one that I'm a chair for is a Smart Nation chapter. And in fact, the very foundation of Smart Nation is really no one single company has everything that Smart Nation needs. So we definitely need to come together, form an ecosystem, and align to different initiatives that's going on. So today I'm very glad to find out more about the India initiatives there. And it takes many hands to collect together. But first step is always start with the aligning. And then after that is not just only for the government sector, as also Audrey highlighted, even the commercial private sector now we see their movement, their attractions that's going on. And how do we bring all this together in the same bandwagon? And then, of course, exactly the topic here, how to go beyond the Singapore market. I think it's nothing to hide that Singapore is a very good showcase. The scale that we have cannot compare to many other bigger companies, but yet it's a perfect showcase, right? Or even an incubation area to test out many new solutions that eventually has potential to go beyond our shore. And just now also Audrey mentioned about India started the initiative for Smart Nation in 2015. This slide is 2019. Actually, there's another one, looks almost the same. It's also PM Lee, our PM Lee in 2014 that he announced we want to do a Smart Nation. And I still remember that time, the quote you see there is more about social. that it's not just smart for smart's sake. It's smart must serve some social needs. And today back in 2019, again, the idea is still the same. It's not about just being more technologically savvy, but really what real problems. And these days, the real problems that we hear a lot is about sustainability. So again, Singapore, earlier this year, there's a brand new green plan by 2030. So in fact, there's a video clip. The first time I see so many ministers come together to promote a particular initiative. Normally, you got one minister, that's not bad, huh? But it's like 5 of them to share different aspects. But it also underpins the important concept that being green, sustainable, it's not one single party's job. It really takes even multiple ministries to come together to make it all work. And so in fact, beyond Singapore shore, for World Economic Forum, same thing. Sustainability now is the new digital. People have been wanting to go digitalization, but now there must be a purpose for digitalization. Yes, it is more efficient, it is more profitable, but sustainability has to be the real initiative or impetus to go towards digitalization. So I think that would be pretty much where SGTech is all about. Sustainability to us is the new smartness, and very much looking forward to how we can all work together, grow this consortium together and to a much greater market out there, and not just to be smart, but also to promote what sustainability should be. Right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lau. So next up, we'll have Mr. Kennie to share with us regarding the opportunities in India. Hi, Kennie, you're muted.
Apologies.
Hi, Kennie, I'm back. Finally, can you hear me?
Hi, Alex. Right now, thanks for joining us. Kennie is presenting on the opportunities in India. Kennie, would you like me to share your slides?
It's fine, it's fine. Got it. Apologies. Am I audible in my screen? Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry for the technical trouble. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kennie. I'm Regional Director based out of Mumbai for Enterprise Singapore. So today I'll be sharing a bit about the opportunities in smart cities, as well as the smart city ecosystem in India. So we essentially view smart cities in India in 2 large buckets, as Audrey mentioned earlier. So the public sector, as well as the private sector. Looking at the public sector smart cities, I think Audrey also mentioned earlier that PM Modi initiated the 100 Smart City Initiative in 2015. So the idea really is to create and develop 100 smart city nodes, right, to kind of coalesce economic development, as well as, thus enabling and uplift the standard of living across the country. So 45% of the funding for all of these smart city projects actually come from the central and state governments. The intent is to seed the projects. And then after that, of course, they will get PPPs, private sectors to come on board as well. So if you look at how far the government of India has progressed in this smart city initiative, 33 cities have made the most progress, with 58% of the work already completed. So what this means for us really, it's we still have 42% of the untapped commercial opportunities, especially so in the major cities that you see at the bottom, the western, northern, as well as the southern areas. The other bucket I spoke about earlier was the private sector smart cities. This is where we see conglomerates and real estate developers, land banking in India, and developing their own smart townships on their own, right? So very often these smart township consist of different asset classes. I think we listed some over there: residential, commercial, consisting of retail, offices, mixed use, data centers, and industrial, so manufacturing, IT, light engineering, etc. Right. So just to cite two examples of Indian corporates that we work with. On the right, so we have Lodha and the Pallava city, which is a 4,500 acres township development. So over there, it's span across residential, commercial, and industrial kind of activities. Another one that we're working together with is the Godrej Group, and they have a Panva city, which is 500 acres. Again, that is commercial, residential, and consists of some data center plots as well. So we see a lot of the Indian corporates doing these developments across India. And so that's where we see as well the opportunity is for Singapore companies. So I think earlier on, we mentioned about the Singapore IoT Consortium. It was formed basically in 2019, made up of 7 companies. So despite COVID-19 impeding progress, the consortium still managed to convert the leads generated into actual commercial opportunities or pilots in India. So later on, I think my colleague, the consortium BD director, Dinesh, will share a bit more about how this is the approach and where the leads come from and where he sees the opportunities are as well. So I think earlier on, as mentioned, we have been working on this since 2015, and so I have a little bit of experience on this front. And basically, we have also looked at what has worked, what has not worked across the 2 buckets that we mentioned earlier, the public and the private sector, what kind of yields outcomes. And so I think that would put us in a very good state as we move forward to position ourselves, position Singapore companies for the eventual upswing in demand in the areas that we see, especially in the new post-COVID new normal. Yeah. In terms of key industry shifts, and this is pre-COVID-19, so this is in 2019 essentially. We continuously keep tabs on where policy is heading, right? And also the macro trends, because that directly impacts the demand drivers across the asset classes. So just citing a few examples on this slide, Real Estate Regulatory Authority, RERA. So basically, RERA was introduced by the government of India to really filter and weed away all the fly-by-night developers. So what this created was a pool of developers that are responsible, able to complete their projects, able to deliver. So that was a good outcome out of that policy, right? The second point, urban migration. I think this was something that we saw as well. Workers was moving into the cities to find work, right? And this is across the different types of work from low skill to white collars. And basically that kind of resulted in a spike in residential demand across all the segments. So that was what we saw. Data localization, again, it was another policy that was introduced by the government of India. Basically the intent was really to ensure all data relating to all transactions in India stay in India, right? So then due to the introduction of that policy, there was a huge spike in demand for data centers, as well as the related cloud infrastructure kind of services. Last point, plug and play concepts. This is especially so for the industrial and manufacturing sectors, as they were gaining popularity, right? This plug and play concept, especially conglomerates and developers, developing business parks, IT parks, like engineering parks, to kind of generate revenues through this kind of a business model. Yeah. COVID-19, and then COVID-19 hit all of us, right? And like everything else, there was this hyper acceleration of trends, changing certain demand drivers in India. So listing a few just to discuss briefly. Decentralization from cities. So at the peak of COVID-19 in India, we saw this mass exodus of workers leaving major cities and working from home. A lot of them left their jobs, moved back to the villages, etc. And so what we really saw out of that is there was also this huge demand for grade A offices and retail malls in India. Corporates are downsizing their office space, but choosing to move into more premium locations, premium offices. In terms of retail malls, there has always been a shortage, and this might be counterintuitive to the usual because now we're going online. But in India, there has always been an inherent shortage when it comes to shopping malls. And so some of the PE funds that we talk to are very interested in investing, taking over assets in retail malls, because they see that eventually things are going to open up. I mean, things are gradually already opening up. But they see that the demand will come in and they see good yield coming from that asset class. Yeah. Second point, push for self-reliance. And this was something that really came up during the peak of the COVID-19 crisis in 2020, because the supply chains, like everywhere else in the world, was impacted. Partly because India imports a lot of the manufacturing inputs that they do and use from other countries, including China. So then there was a push in terms of policy changes by the government of India to really make it easier for large and small manufacturing companies to expand or set up shops, right? So that really led to a demand in the existing model that we spoke about earlier, the plug and play models, because manufacturing outfits were setting up very quickly. Everybody was tapping on the gaps that they identified because of this huge supply chain disruption that they saw. Third point, less reliance on low-cost labor as well during the peak of the crisis. And I think as mentioned earlier in the decentralization point, in the first point brought up earlier. So workers were leaving cities. And really what happened was it kind of impacted business continuity for a lot of corporates based in India, which has always been very traditionally reliant on labor, especially on low-cost labor. So what we saw in India really is that kind of pushed the corporates to rethink about balancing their reliance on low-cost labor with a base layer of digital intervention. So that's something we saw. Digitalization trends, I think that we saw that worldwide, but especially so for India. And I think that exacerbated the demand for data centers. Early on we spoke about the data localization laws. And so then, we saw a lot of developers. I think if you look at the fourth row, the last column on trends, we saw a lot of the existing traditional developers pivoting into data centers, right, to capture the growth and capture the demand. The last point, gap in healthcare infrastructure, I think this was acutely felt, especially during the second wave in 2020. In part because I think India has traditionally not spent very much of their GDP in healthcare infrastructure. It's 1.15% a year. So during the crisis, I think they kind of felt the impact from that tremendously. So right now, what we're seeing is a lot of government and private sector collaboration when it comes to expanding all these healthcare infrastructure. So we're working in hospitals with the clinic chains, etc., to kind of widen the network, tap on the expertise of private sector and expand. So if we distill the trends mentioned earlier and the changes in the demand drivers and all that, plus the interactions that we have had on the ground in Mumbai, as well as all the other cities that we are based out of, with some of the Indian corporates, the funds that we talk to, basically we then essentially see 5 domains of opportunities in India for Singapore. So these 5 areas are: number 1, security, surveillance, video analytics, and this really is in line with the business continuity, the COVID narrative that we had earlier. Resource management, so this includes resource as in manpower, resource, energy, water. I think this also ties in with the sustainability angle that I think earlier on Mr. Lau was mentioning. Healthcare, as mentioned earlier about the mass expansion and in the private sector partnership for all this expansion into this infrastructure. Mobility, we see a lot of mobility projects from highways to metros to rails as the government looks at spending spending their investing into all this healthcare infrastructure, because that really builds the base of the smart cities that they are trying to build. Right? Last point, education. I think during the pandemic, I think everywhere else as well, there was this huge pivoting to online learning. And there were a lot of students going online for skills training, remote learning, etc. So those are the 5 areas that we see. And we feel that Singapore, we have good expertise in these domains as well. And then at the same time, I think it addresses the gaps and trend shift that we discussed earlier. So we look to position Singapore companies or work with Singapore companies to position ourselves for the upswing once COVID-19 recedes, but which already is happening in India. I think COVID-19 has really receded because the second wave started quite early. And now we are already 6-7 months in, and things are coming back to normal. Yeah. So that's all for me. Thank you. A short presentation. So happy to take questions later as well during the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, Kennie. Next up, let's welcome Mr. Dinesh to share about the consortium in general. He's the PACT manager for the IoT Consortium for this project.
Is the screen visible to all of you?
Are you sharing your screen yet?
Yeah.
We can't see it.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yep.
We can't see your screen.
One moment, please. One moment. I'll just share it, please. Just give me
I can see your screen, Dinesh. I can.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yes, now can.
Now it is visible?
Yes.
Okay. So at the outset, a very warm welcome to all my co-panelists and everyone joining the seminar. Thanks for taking time out from your day. Today, I'm going to talk on exploring opportunities in India post-pandemic. So I'm going to cover 4 points here: stable and predictable environment, India, the engine for global manufacturing, COVID-19 and opportunities post-pandemic, the growing digital penetration and expanding digital economy by $1 trillion by 2025. So since the onset of COVID-19, most of industries and companies have been affected adversely and some have done well. The same has been echoed by the Sensex, which tracks the performance of companies in India. It crossed the level of 50,000 mark over a period of 10 plus months since COVID-19, which is over 50% rise. A business worldwide gear up for the new normal post-COVID-19. India has been proactively cementing its position as a resilient economy. It has emerged as a forerunner for business continuity plans in Southeast Asia, in which digital is playing a pivotal role. India's rise in the World Bank ease of doing business, ranking to 63 in 2020 from 142 in the year 14, is a testament to its persistence, drive, and effort to become the world's business destination of choice. Unparalleled legislative and procedural reforms have been implemented in the last 5 years, which shall gather momentum in the coming months as both central and the state governments gear up to stimulate the economy and improve their attractiveness for investment across sectors. India has one of the most attractive corporate income tax rates for manufacturing and service sector investments. It is lowest amongst the BRICS and MIT Ivy countries, that is 17.16%. India is emerging economy with a young population. It is the 6th largest consumer market globally with 49% workforce participation. India ranked as 5th largest recipient of FDI in 2020 in spite of COVID. The next few decades would see the emergence of new world powers, and certain key industries would drive this economic change. Countries which would be at the forefront of adopting digitization while having expanding consumer markets are set to benefit. India's GDP is close to $2.62 trillion in 2020, and International Monetary Fund predicts it to be at $4 trillion by 2024-25. However, the digital economy on which India has embarked shall contribute close to $1 trillion by 2025 to the GDP. which is an opportunity for all of us. India added more than 1,600 tech startups in 2020, making it the third largest tech startup hub in the world behind US and China. Currently, India's digital economy generates about $200 billion of economic value, which is set to double in the coming years to $500 billion. But the potential economic value for India could be double that amount, which shall emanate from the startup ecosystem engaged to disrupt across diverse sectors such as education, sustainability, security surveillance, video analytics, AR, VR, SaaS services, smart city, healthcare, mobility, agriculture, etc. Few of these domains resonate with SGIoT 2.0. So SGIoT 1.0 journey begins. I'm going to talk on challenges, mitigation, and growth on this slide. So the startups in SGIoT were new to Indian market. Lack of local eligibility criteria fulfillment put challenges in getting around government and the private sector. However, unique selling proposition offered by the member companies enabled us to present the product portfolio. We use this opportunity to gain mindshare and gain acceptability. Collaboration between the consortium members for India offerings were stitched. My vast experience of 32 years in corporate, government, and as an entrepreneur came handy. Networking abilities coupled with my active association with pioneering organizations like IGBC, ISHRE, and SCHAM became a catalyst in furthering the interest. Taking cue from my experience, I set out on the path of appointing partners and signing off MOU along with quarterly business development cum sales plan on their existing set of customers. Virtual trainings were arranged. We took several steps towards confidence building measures and managed to create partner ecosystem. Sustainable partner ecosystem is a continuously evolving process. Hence, a lot more is required to nurture, sustain, and grow the partner ecosystem in India. Now, let's talk tech for the period September 19 to August 21. We have generated close to 100 plus quality leads through our partners. As on today, we have created 18 partners. We clocked 8 projects from the government sector, that is Government of Bihar, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Red Cross Society, etc. We also clocked 3 projects in the private sector, that is 3DS Dassault System, which is a French-based company, and Loda Group. In the days to come, we are hopeful to convert the completed 6 POCs into live projects, that is from Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, HPCL, Controllers Data Center, etc. Sensing the opportunities, member companies like EnvironSense and HVS Engineering incorporated 100% subsidiary in India for full-scale operations. Now, in continuation to the above POCs, you see a lot of probable projects in this slide where we have put in good effort and we could see most of them getting converted to live projects in days ahead. Members such as Nextan, ExcelPoint, and Security had their offerings in security, surveillance, and video analytics. We engaged in intense discussion with customers like HPCL, state transport undertakings like UPSRTC and RSRTC, Axis Bank, etc. Under the sustainability domain, we had members offering from HVS, EnvironSense, and Evercom. We had good response from customers like Dassault, Controllers Data Center, Government of Bihar, Government of MP, Tata Projects, etc. Members such as Mastron, Nextan, HVS showcased their offerings in healthcare sector and showed good traction amongst customers such as Hiranandani Hospital, Maharaja Agrasen Hospital, etc. Mobility in India is a growing sector. We carried the offerings of members like Nextan and Security to state transport undertakings and to smart city partners. Now, coming to the responsibility of consortium director. The consortium director is responsible for providing overall vision, leadership, and guidance for the program in close coordination with Singapore IoT Consortium members. The consortium director has a dual reporting in SGIoT setup. This role is both strategic and hands-on. The details of responsibility are like, to strategize way forward for SGIoT members in India, product development in line with local requirements, which are taken up as per market demand. For example, we did combination systems with HVS and smart city products we are doing with ExcelPoint as of now. To create awareness, market visibility, to do reach out programs, business development and advocacy, appoint partners in various categories, appoint implementation partners along with O&M for project execution and post-sale support, direct customer acquisition, conduct partner training sessions, conduct timely reviews with partners, arrange virtual meetings with SGIOTC members and end customers, representing SGIOTC in front of customers and all stakeholders, engage in lead generation, converting them to opportunity and closing to PO, understanding the customer requirement and capturing the data for submission of techno-commercial proposals, conducting POC at site or virtual as per the customer requirement. In case of RFP or tender, we believe in engaging at source and doing complete account mapping, so that ensures winnability. End-to-end follow-up till purchase order stage, appointing CHA for customs clearance and documentation, transportation, and managing complete supply chain. Managing billing to the end customer, managing account receivable, and completing the task, if any, assigned directly in India on behalf of the members. So a quick recap on the domains we have worked on in SGIoT 1.0. So the listed domains are at the center of growing economy in India, and lot of developments are happening here. I'm presenting a quick glance through. So security, surveillance, and video analytics is growing at a CAGR of 33%. The key drivers being smart city, surveillance projects, smart city projects, government, transport, BFSI, retail, healthcare, etc. The growing awareness amongst citizens, government programs, various multilateral agreements are fueling the growth in sustainability sector. This particular sector is growing at the rate of 24.3% CAGR. Key drivers are like green building, data center, and lots more to add, So post-COVID-19, there is a substantial increase in the government spending on healthcare, and the sector is growing at 17% CAGR. Key drivers being rising income, awareness amongst the citizens, increasing access to insurance, etc. Smart lighting has caught the imagination of all. Hence, the sector is rapidly growing at 48.87% CAGR. Key drivers being smart city projects, smart homes, digital India. AV/VR is a disruptive technology and is growing at the rate of 38.29% CAGR. Key drivers being gaming, healthcare, defense, entertainment, etc. SaaS as a vertical is propelled by massive cloud adoption in the country. This sector is growing rapidly at 27% CAGR. Key drivers being government as well as the private sector both. So friends, as India propels ahead, we welcome you to board the ship and be a part of its unparalleled and exciting growth story. Every tomorrow of India is better than today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Thank you.
Next up, let's welcome Alex to share his experience and thoughts of being in the IoT Consortium.
Hi, Ying. Okay, thank you and good afternoon to all. Yeah, as Dinesh has already made a very well presented background of the IoT. HVS is actually one of the pioneer member to join IoT in 2019. And what I can actually share is my experience, but I think the report card given by Dinesh speaks for itself. Dinesh has done a wonderful job in actually securing several projects for HVS within the first 1 year of our participation. The two projects that he mentioned is the LODA group and also the French company. There are also a couple of hospital projects that is down the pipeline. Due to the COVID situation, I personally have put it on hold so that we can actually give a better support. Now, he said my experience is that, but I actually addressing these particular sentiments of mine to the participant who is into this seminar, who is still not sure whether IoT is a proper platform for you to come in, and to go forward just to explore India. What I can say is this. You see, just now Dinesh mentioned that for those members who has got a good product and service proposition, that is a good first thing that they have to have, you're confident enough to move the market in India. But the most important thing is this, having joining the IoT Consortium when I first participated, the other critical component is actually the ESG presence in India for the last so many years. because of their presence in so many years before, they already put in a lot of resources in terms of networking and a lot of contact within India itself. So this is I feel is actually the value that individual SME who wants to go into India on his own would not be able to summon these particular resources. One of the main thing is this. I can see if one of the greatest point that the other members or just potential members who are thinking is that with ESG IoT Consortium, we are standing on the shoulder of the giant, and if it knocks on the door of the bigger companies in India or multinational in India, the door will probably lift open and they chop to the giant. And we go in together. I mean, this is the analogy that I'm going to give in. With IoT Singapore and with Dinesh, very aggressively in the market, doors can get open more easily. And under ESG mission program, they can actually easily consolidate the right sort of company for this group of IoT member to go in and have a first wave to get the door open, and the rest we can walk the journey. So this is one of the main things that I find is most useful. Yeah, and of course, because of the mission, my personal experience is that we have to be also very proactive in trying to engage the contact that has been presented, as a result of the trade mission under IoT, and we have to continue to work and follow up. Yeah, so the government or ESG IoT can actually help open the door. The rest of the journey we have to walk by ourselves with the guidance of the IoT director, which is Dinesh. Yeah, so by doing so, we can actually move and get some benefit out of it. So what I can say is that be prepared really from my experience the last two years with ESG and now with the Dinesh itself. Be prepared to be disturbed by Dinesh at any time of the day, including sometimes Saturday and Sunday, when during the initial stage when I try to crack the nut and then to go into some of the project. Dinesh, this is what it is. Because for those who actually want to come in, be prepared. You want to actually see the fruition of the effort. Be prepared to sacrifice in this manner. This is what I'm saying. For those who are decided, please think through it. I think there is more benefit for us to join. Yeah, to actually hunt in a pack with the related services that they probably make in Singapore, and we can be proud as we go forward together. If you don't get any business in the first round, you may get a second round. If you still don't get it, at least we make some good friendship, among as we travel along the way, and that might be something along the way, even can they work together. For example, during the consortium which we have, some of the like-minded members, like Environment Sense, which becomes our partner and also co-developer for some new product as well going forward, and also other member as well as we actually moving forward. So what I can say is for those members who actually in this particular seminar, I would strongly urge you to think positively about what you can actually benefit out of this particular program, which I think ESG has been putting in a lot of effort into it. In fact, I am actually very, very happy that the ESG is continuing with this program, which I think that we are beginning to gain the traction despite we lost really 1.5 years of the time. But that time that we so-called lost, it should give us more time to consolidate and then to cement what is the better approaches and a better strategy going forward. Okay, with that, I will end my presentation and I'll be happy to address any question you may have specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes.
Next up, let's welcome Shan to share about the PACT program.
Hi everyone. Very good afternoon. Thank you for staying with us. So I'm Shan, and I'm from ESG's South Asia team. And I'll be sharing with you the last item of the day, which is the overview of the PACT program, its basic requirements, the funding support provided, and the projected timeline for this program. So the Singapore IoT Consortium is a PACT program which is under ESG's capability development support structure. It combines various support measures across various agencies. And this program enables support to be provided to enterprises of all sizes So from your large LEs down all the way to your startups. In addition, this program also includes local and overseas projects pertaining to companies' BD needs, local knowledge transfer, capability building, co-innovation, and access to generational overseas opportunities as well. ESG funds up to 70% of the qualifying costs, which includes the cost of hiring the PACT manager as well, which we will illustrate in the next slide. So the total duration for India's PACT program is 2 years. And in this 2 years, a PACT manager is a dedicated headcount specifically for this program, who will be responsible for the identifying of project leads and the development of PACT projects, much as like what Dinesh has presented just now. And for the purpose of this illustration, we will show you a model that has worked well in our last consortium to India. I'll start by bringing it down to 1 year. So you can see there, the total cost for a PACT manager per year is, for example, $72,500. And of this amount, ESG will be funding up to 70% of the qualifying costs, which includes the hiring of the PACT manager. The remaining cost, which is 30% for the hiring, will be split equally between the participating companies. So as you can see, the table on the right, it provides a breakdown that includes, the PACT manager's salary for 13 months, 2 trips to Singapore, which includes 1 onboarding session with ESG, meetings with the consortium members, where the PACT manager will gain, an understanding of your product, your solution, as well as another work trip to Singapore for his or her mid-year review. And other items also include domestic air travel, accommodation, local transport, allowances, miscellaneous expenses in India itself. So at the bottom, we have an illustrated amount with all the costs factored in that one consortium member would have to pay as an upfront amount per year. So for 2 years, it would be double that amount itself. Next, some basic requirements under the program support. So the PACT support is on a reimbursement basis, and the supported qualifying costs will be reimbursed upon evaluation after the first year, which is to say that KPIs set out in the consortium agreement would have to be achieved. So also the amount will not be refunded if, for instance, a consortium member decides to discontinue the PACT program for whatever reason at any one time before or after the end of year 1. So which is to say that all members will be committed to a 2-year program upon each company's agreement to join. The PACT manager would also be appointed under the PACT leader. And of course, ESG will be facilitating the necessary agreements like internal consortium meetings, discussions on PACT-related matters between PACT leader and all the consortium members. So despite the fact that the PACT manager will be hired under the PACT leader, we'd like to stress that each consortium member has equal access to the PACT manager throughout the duration of the program. So lastly, this is the projected timeline that we're looking at in getting the India program up and running, if all goes well. Starting next week, we will be beginning the curation and the selection of interested companies, their solutions for onboarding onto the PACT program, so that the solutions created by the participating companies are complementary, followed by discussions on the program structure with the PACT manager, and then a joint meeting between the PACT manager, leader, and all the consortium members. By the start of October, we would be processing the PACT program application and would aim to get the approval process done by mid-October. The final item would be the official hiring of the PACT manager right before the commencement of the PACT program in end October. So now I've come to the end. Thank you for listening. I'd actually like to hand the time over back to Ying Ying for the Q&A session, please.
Yeah, thank you, Shan. So I've seen there are some questions in the Q&A box. So Alan previously asked about data localization, whether that means that the SaaS type of companies, if they were to go to India, do they have to have a data center there or not? So Kennie check that there's no issues providing such solutions from Singapore directly. Kennie, would you like to also elaborate on this point?
Yeah, thanks, Alan, for the question. Not sure where that comes from, or I mean, don't know the context, the full context of your question, but yeah. So the data localization was really to mandate the the banks, the tech companies to keep a copy of the transaction in India lah. So in terms of providing services or solutions offshore, or setting up an entity in India to provide those solutions to the data centers, that wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, we've seen that happen before. Yeah.
Okay, and he also asked about, I mean, okay, this question is more generic for perhaps ESG to answer. Does this PACT program also cover other parts of the world? I think the answer would be yes, lah, right?
Yeah, but it's an individual market initiative thing, because I think we see value in this program helping companies, especially for a market like India. I think earlier on we mentioned about how it's not as intuitive as some of the other markets in our hinterland, right, in Southeast Asia. So we felt that it's a good way to ease some of the opportunities and create those opportunities for Singapore companies. So it's really a market-driven, market-led initiative. But for us, this is what we're doing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have other questions from the attendees? I see that someone has raised your hand. Would you like to speak? Hello, Satya.
Hi. Just to check, actually we are a Singapore company, but we have a subsidiary in India. Are we allowed to participate in this consortium?
Hi, it's a wholly owned subsidiary. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 90% owned by Singapore company, 10% by the Indian shareholders.
I see. So I mean, we can always take the discussion offline for sure to understand the company a bit better and how we can support. But I mean, the idea really is to find more opportunities, help the companies or your subsidiaries grow in the market. Yeah. So for sure we can discuss this. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have other attendees who would like to speak?
Maybe while others are thinking through their question, this is Justin. I'm also based in Mumbai together with Kennie, looking at this space as well. So the whole idea of the consortium is such that we have people on the ground building up the network and getting access to both buyers of solutions. It could be developers, data center owners, healthcare providers, but they also will work through system integrators who will bid for projects and look to bring in solutions that they currently lack in order to have a better or a fuller suite of solution to offer, in each of the projects that they bid for. So those two are the main avenues that we have seen greater success. So for this sort of version 2 of the consortium to work, we are looking at complementary solutions to come together to also avoid any direct competition between our members. So there will be a need for us to take in application from companies, and we will assess what are some of the solutions that is being offered to make sure that as a grouping of companies is more complementary, and you can sort of add on to each other and strengthen each other's offering when we go as a pack to offer a fuller suite of solutions to the buyers or the system integrators. So just to address this, so that so as to highlight that there is a process for us to also assess before we accept the eventual consortium membership. This will be done, of course, in consultation with the tech leader who will be appointed to lead the group.
Okay. So maybe Shih, would you like to ask your questions so that the rest of the audience can also hear?
Sure. Yeah. I think there are two questions I have. One is this looking at inviting more companies to join existing consortium? What we have been hearing, definitely, I think there's a lot of exciting areas. So if that's the case, then we, just as Justin highlighted, we need to also we need to understand a bit more which are the complementary areas, right? So that it won't be just end up overlapping areas, too much of that. Or is this also open for forming a new consortium? So these are the questions.
Thanks, Rizal. If I may just quickly respond to that question. So we are doing a refresh of the consortium. So not all the companies from the first consortium would like to continue because some of them have actually hired their own resources in India to continue their business development work. So that's really our goal, right? To help and to enable companies to realize that, hey, this is really an area and really a market that we want to kind of entrench ourselves and find opportunities. So not all the companies will be in the upcoming refresh consortium, but the basis on the underlying principle for the refresh consortium is really based on the 5 domains that we shared earlier, because really those are areas where we see that Singapore companies can position ourselves for the opportunities. So I think the point that Justin brought up, so we are doing a curation, but not to worry. I think feel free to, after this, you can reach out to us individually. We can have a discussion on what are solutions you offer and which areas are you interested in. And then we'll go back and we'll look at how to deconflict and make sure that there's no cannibalization. I think when you have a lead coming in, you don't want a scenario where you have 3 companies offering very similar solutions and then you have to decide which one to go for. So other than working, of course, with SGTech, we have also reached out to some of the Singapore companies that we think would value add. So we have also gotten, I think, about 7 to 8 new companies that have expressed interest that they want to be part of this now. So I guess after this event, we'll consolidate all the interest and we'll look at the solutions and we'll try to be as inclusive as we can. Yeah.
So, Mr. Lau, I would like to add to what Kenny said. So this is not like a renewal of a contract. So it's like, reforming, regrouping and starting something with some learning that we got from the past. So in the past, with that, we have actually aligned for certain target segments that are quite relevant for India, as well as Singapore has certain expertise. So India needs it and Singapore has expertise. What does it mean? Example, Singapore, you saw those 5 pillars which Kenny mentioned. One was security, one was resource, healthcare, mobility, education. There were certain areas we actually seen in the past. There are certain areas like, India has got a lot of mining, India has got a lot of agriculture, India has got many other sectors, which Singapore may not have, the Singapore homegrown companies. Even though we hunt in pack, we may not have expertise. But what we have seen in terms of smartness or IoT connectivity, security, healthcare, mobility, education, we together may have an expertise which India needs. That's where we come in. And we don't want to conflict or compete not only amongst us, but also with India companies. If example, India has got such a vast software experience, we don't want to go something combine here and go there and conflict with them. So we've got a good learning, and this is like forming with a new concept, new pillars, and very good clarity. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Pai and Kenny, for the explanation. Very clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Alan, would you like to talk? Just now I saw that you have actually raised your hand. Maybe you can share a little bit about your company. Yeah.
Sure. Alan here from Vocado. We are a US-based tech company with a relatively strong presence here. We have about 100 people in Singapore. I guess my question was around, Kenny, your comment around data, kind of residency, right? So like for us, companies, we are SaaS cloud companies, so we are on AWS, right? Our technology is in the cloud. I guess, in order to join this pact, would our solution need to be on premise, right? That means in India itself, our data centers would need to be in India, or can the hosting be outside of India? Because you mentioned a point where they want to retain data within India, and not have data go out of India, right? So then that would, disqualify companies like us who don't have a data center in Singapore at this point in time.
So yeah, thanks, Alan, for the question. So the policy that was mandated was you need to keep a copy.
Oh,
so
okay.
So you can have your transactions anywhere, but a copy need to reside in India.
I see.
For traceability and all that. Yeah. So I'm not exactly in the space. I'm not exactly in the SaaS space, but I think that would mean that you'll be able to service or provide your solutions offshore, right? As long as you keep a copy there, meaning to say you probably work with some partners to do so.
I understand. Okay, and then if we are interested, right? I know you mentioned that you're gathering interest from different companies. So how do we actually show our interest?
Yeah, so maybe I think this applies to all the participants as well. I think after this, I think Ying can share and link us up. If any of you are keen to have a discussion with us, we can have a one-to-one call to understand your company a bit better, and also to see your interest in this. So those are the follow-ups, immediate follow-ups we can pick up on.
Okay. And then with regards to other, kind of pacts, I guess I'm not sure if we have something in Indonesia or other parts of the world, who should we speak to, outside of India, right? Other pacts that are being formed, are there anyone that we can speak to about, just understanding what kind of pacts are available?
Thanks, Alan. So this is a very market-driven initiative. So to be honest, we are not exactly sure which of the markets are running this PACT program as well. But what we can do is after this, we can connect. We can kind of check for you, and then we can also link you up to some of our other regional directors based in the other markets, and then you can have that conversation with them and take it forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have two more questions in the Q&A box. So Samuel, are you still around? Would you like to speak as well? So he was asking whether it is a must to become a member of the consortium if they already have presence in India and Singapore. Hi, Samuel.
Hi, Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So apparently I have a business in India, in Baroda, and we are actually an application development company. So I was wondering whether the consortium comes from Singapore or it can actually be initiated from the India office of mine.
Thanks for the question, Samuel. So yeah, the India office is the wholly owned subsidiary of your Singapore outfit, right? So no issues there. We can work with you and work with a team in India. Yeah.
Right, and my second question is pertaining to the IP concern of the technology implemented in India. So who will be governing that aspect?
Sorry, would you elaborate the IT concern?
IP, intellectual property.
Okay. So the IP. Yeah. The IP concern. So you have an IP out of Singapore or some of the other countries that you operate out of, right? Then you have a registered.
If there's a solution pertaining to some intellectual property rights, who will be the ownership of this, be it in Singapore or be it in India in this case?
So again, it depends on the discussion and commercial arrangement you have with your client in India. So I guess both parties have to agree, I'm assuming you're referring to you're developing an application system for a client, and there's some IP rights issue there. That's what you meant, right? And
I meant
how to
I have
decide
some
who-
IP that is registered with the company, and we are basically a headquarter in Singapore company. And if we were to implement the solution in India, in this case, do I have to actually, permit the IP to be used in India, and who should be the, should I give ownership to the India counterpart?
I see.
Kenny,
So
Kenny, can I take your question?
of course.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, Mr. Samir, this is Dinesh Tiwari here.
Hi, Dinesh.
Actually, as far as the IPR issue is concerned, see, you are going to develop the software in Singapore, or you're going to develop the software in India. That is the first question. Where are you going to develop the software? Origin.
Okay, some of our solutions are actually co-developed in Vietnam and Singapore. I basically have five regions that I'm working together. So I have developers actually in Vietnam, India, as well as in Singapore. So some of these solutions are co-developed within this region.
So rightly, so Mr. Samuel, actually your company will be the rightful owner of the IP. But in case of, let's say the application is very critical to the organization, correct? So there can be a negotiation, and possibly they might ask you to share the source code and all those things, So that is a matter of actual mutual discussion
Dinesh,
and negotiation.
Dinesh, let me
please.
here. So Samuel, hi, I'm Pai.
Hi.
Basically, consortium is to bring together and creating a platform which ESG facilitates and nurtures, and all the deals that are done is on the individual company or the partnering companies. That means suppose you and me partner, and then we make an offer, one of us or two of us take the deal, right? So it is all negotiation between you and the client, which the business development manager will find locally. So it's not that the consortium will be the owner of the IP or in intellectual property. All the deals are the way it is done. If consortium was not there and you were to go directly to India to that client, it's up to you, between you and the client. It will remain the same. Does it answer your question?
Right. So there's no absolute what I'm trying to understand here, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question from Mufadal. He's from the Australian company with a RHQ in Singapore. So are they able to participate in this? Would you like to speak as well?
Kennie, ESG, this is, question for ESG. For the PACT, there are certain criteria, right, Inging? Regional HQ in Singapore, are we able to participate?
I think that, hi everyone. I think that, thank you so much for the strong interest in the program. I think for questions regarding eligibility to participate, let's take it offline. I think the group is because some of you could have very specialized corporate structuring. All of you have different circumstances in terms of how you do your projects, how you do vis-a-vis HQ. So I think let's take the conversations offline and we will be able to advise better.
Yeah, okay. So are there any more questions from the audience? If not, perhaps those with questions, you can contact me and I will direct you, I will link you up with the ESG officers so that you can take a one-on-one conversation with them. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So thanks for staying till the end of our session today. I know we overran a little bit, but let me just share some upcoming activities that we have from SGTech. So we do have an ASEAN business mission coming up. It's an virtual business mission. So we'll be working with a consultant to provide minimum 5 leads to the companies that participate in this program. If you're interested, you can scan the QR code, or I will also be sending this inside the post-event email that you will receive. We also have 2 upcoming webinars for Australia and Latin America. So Australia event will be this Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. And the Latin America event will be on 14 October. So all this information will be sent to you in the post-event email. If you're interested, you can also sign up. So basically for the Australia event, we are working with the Western Australia side to discuss on the topic of AI, the development of AI in Singapore and in Australia, and how we can actually contribute to each other's development, and also discuss potential collaboration opportunities between the Singapore and the Australian companies. So likewise for the Latin America version, we are doing a similar one. There are 3 Latin American companies that have come on board to share their projects. So these are actual potential leads that you can already follow up with. So if you're interested, you can take a look at the event listing to sign up. All right. And lastly, we have this mobile fest in Turkey, Istanbul. Although, so this event will be held as a hybrid event. There will be a physical event in Istanbul, but at the same time, we'll also be leading a Singapore virtual pavilion. So if you're interested to be connected to other companies, other countries on this platform, do let us know, and you can sign up through this link as well. So likewise, all this information will be disseminated in the post-event email, so do look out for that. Okay. Yeah. So do follow us on LinkedIn as well as Facebook to receive the latest information that we have for the industry. And do take some time to complete this post-event survey. You can indicate this event that you're attending webinar on India, post-COVID opportunities in India, and share your thoughts about how we can improve further so that we can cater better, more targeted events for you in future. All right. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you once again to ESG and also to our Excel Point friends and HVS friends who shared with us about the many opportunities in India and also the potential projects and potential consortium that we can all participate in. All right, and thank you Shih for sharing on behalf of SGTech. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.